Hi class, today we're going to talk about Module 3 in our Smart PR Measurement class. This section talks about the importance of understanding the role of listening and monitoring play in your measurement. Today the world is filled with a lot of chaos and clutter, both good and bad, and one thing that's vitally important to understand listening is active and passive listening. So, and that goes from just hearing things and talking to people to monitoring social media, monitoring focus groups, monitoring conversations and meetings. All this plays a critical role in understanding the goals of your organization, how to move forward, what the role of active listening and passive listening play in measurement. So going back a little bit to the beginning of the class, why we communicate. Well, we have an organization, and we are trying to communicate out to the audiences, stakeholders, and I'm sure you could fill in the blank with all different types of audiences, criteria, and characteristics. And we have a message that we believe is very important to get out to these audiences. So we want to educate our audiences that our message is important and relevant to them. We want to cultivate their interest. So maybe, as we all know, sometimes it takes multiple times to communicate a message in multiple different ways, both visually and orally. So we're cultivating our audience, making them understand the message, and then also engaging at the same time. It's a big time of engagement, and then motivating the audience and stakeholders to do your specific desired outcomes. So what was your goal of your communication? Educate, cultivate, motivate to the outcome. And it takes a lot of work, and it's sometimes not easy, and it really involves more listening than you actually believe. And so that's what we're going to talk about next, is the listening part of this. So just to review, because I want to get in my two quotes that I really like, why we communicate: to spread our messages to the right audience. But we really need to be thinking, are we listening effectively to our audience, understanding their needs? Or sometimes do we believe our message is greater than their needs? And that's a whole nother issue. But what we're going to focus on today is paying attention and monitoring what is going on, the chatter, really listening, and then reacting in time and responding appropriately to the circumstance. Because every single organization is different. Every single message is different to specific audiences. Obviously, you are deciding which messages go to which audiences and changing them appropriately. So every reaction and every response is going to be different. There's not one response for every single type of communication or crisis communication. So I love these two quotes. One from Bill Gates: your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning, which I think we can all agree with that. Even though when we wake up or we go to work and we see those email messages or we see the chatter on social media, something negative that maybe your organization has done, right away it induces, you get nervous and you get scared. Your activity in your head gets crazy, and what are we going to do? How are we going to put out this fire? But we need to do that, obviously, but then we should take some time and go back and reflect, and why are they so unhappy? What can we do so that doesn't happen again? And I think that is so vitally important. I know where I work, I utilize the people at the front desk when the students come in or the faculty members come in. And what kind of issues do they bring to us all the time? Or the phone calls, we monitor the phone calls of the students. What are the things they're saying to us over and over? Why are they unhappy? Why can't they find something on the website? And then we meet a couple times a year to just review those logs. And of course, if something's extremely important, we take care of it immediately. But we try to determine what can we do to put out these fires before they become, something that's going to be a bigger issue that's going to consume a whole entire day. This second quote is by Sprout Social, sorry. You need to listen to your audience. What issues do they care about? How can you help them solve their problems? And I think I just talked about that a little bit. It's really, really important whether you're listening to incoming calls, students coming to your office, customers coming to your store, your organization, social media chatter, website. If you have your website set up, which I'm sure all of you do, where you get information emails, what are they saying when they get to your website? Is some stranger logging on and saying, hey, I didn't realize you were closed today. Why wasn't that information on your website? So these are all key components to listening appropriately, and we're going to talk about responding and how to monitor that. So you probably saw this a couple days ago. This is a really recent example. So Kim Kardashian, whether you love her or you hate her, she put this up the other day, which I caught my attention. She said, "Hey, Jack in the Box, I have a serious complaint, but I won't fully put it on your blast. Check your appropriate email inbox and DM me." So Burger King writes back, "Jack in the Box, the principal's office." Over 10,000 people were talking about this when this happened. I just happened to be on social media at that time and saw this, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder what's going to happen, because you know that Kim Kardashian is definitely going to respond if Jack in the Box does not email her. So then another example, some even harsher words. Wendy says, "But like, who even goes there?" And you can see that, what has happened here is a very popular and well-known celebrity has put out something. She's not being negative. She's saying, I have something I want to tell you about, but I'm not going to put this on social media, but email me. And then obviously Burger King and Wendy are monitoring, they probably have keywords set up for any time Jack in the Box is mentioned on social media. We're going to talk about alerts soon. And so they responded in kind, and it's funny. It's and it's funny, and it's, if you're following social media and this is what you do for your business or for, your career, then you can really understand why this social listening and active listening is really important. So I do know the end result, in case you guys don't, is that Jack in the Box did send her a message, and then she actually wrote a couple hours later saying, that exactly what it was about, not to the exact detail, but just that she saw something in one of the Jack in the Box stores that concerned her, and she just wanted the corporate office to know. So, and this could have gone very badly if Kim would have put out exactly what was going on, but she did in a professional manner. But to me, I just wanted to show you, the response from Burger King and Wendy's. It is pretty funny, and it's because they were social. They were actively listening and took it as an opportunity to get in Kim's feed. So. So social monitoring versus social listening. So, we're going to monitor all of our social media, all of our different communications that come into our inbox, whether that be email alerts, things I was talking to you about, like focus groups, phone logs, social media. So we're monitoring it. So monitoring tells you what, listening tells you why. And this is just a little chart from Sprout Social that I really like. So now let's get down to really what it takes to do this work. So a signature social PR listening formula. So we're going to read all of our responses that we get within social media or we get from our dashboards that we're going to talk about in a second, our monitoring dashboards. Then we're going to prioritize our responses and think them through and then respond. And we're going to do this continuously throughout the day. Hopefully you're not at a company you have to put out or an organization that you have to put out a lot of fires every single day, all day long. But this goes for any kind of social media chatter that's going on. So there's good stuff, right? So you have great events or you have a great announcement, and then during that day, and of course in weeks to come, weeks to follow, you're going to be listening to what people are saying and then engaging and cultivating them to take the desired action that you want. So it goes back to the, what we just talked about at the beginning of this lesson. So what is a listening channel? It's a systematic approach to the process of organizing your content. So there's a lot of different platforms that you can use to establish your listening channel. This is really, really important. So when you first start a job, that's something I would set up besides benchmarking everything that the point of when you enter your job, where your organization is, but then also setting up your listening channels. So Google Alerts, filters and emails, RSS feeds, Twitter hashtag alerts, Facebook alerts, LinkedIn alerts, Instagram alerts, all different types of alerts. Here's some of the dashboards that I'm familiar with and I'm passing on to you. So at my work, we use Meltwater. I talked about that in previous lectures. It's a social media placement, a media placement tool and a social media monitoring tool as well. Session is another example. Those are the two big ones right now. Google Alerts, which we're all familiar with. So anytime any of your organization's top brass, or for me it would be my faculty, are in the news, I get an alert. Social, Sprout Social, I keep messing up those words today. TweetDeck, Social Mention, Keyhole, Hootsuite, Brandwatch. These are all great tools. There's probably another, 50 of them out there. These are some of the ones that, I utilize at Rutgers. That's really helped me. You usually can do a couple of weeks free or a couple of months free, and then of course they charge you. So, and a lot of these are not cheap. So just that's a fair warning. But the more you pay, the more data you get. But you have to be able to analyze that data. So you have to really think for your organization, is it worth putting out 10,000 a year? It's about what meltwater runs me, if you're not really going to be using it efficiently. So, okay, so those are some of the dashboards. So you want to set up these dashboards. And once we have our dashboards established, now what? Okay, so I just call this my rinse and repeat slide. So we're going to monitor and listen all day long, in addition to doing all your other tasks, which you can see why you need to set up a team. So even on weekends and holidays, that's why the automation aspect is so important. So over the long weekends, I have everything set up in my email and on my phone. So anytime our dean or our influencers are making a tweet or posting somewhere, I'm alerted, and then I can, stop what I'm doing or wait till the end of the day if it's a holiday weekend, and then look through them and be like, what's really, really important? What do I need to retweet? What are they telling me that I can grab to use during the week, the next week at work? Get yourself a team, because one person can't do it all. And if you're in a very small shop, you can maybe work with a community college or a college to get interns to work with you that you would either pay or not pay, and help yourself. Get somebody that knows some social media stuff. If you can hire a social media expert, even the better. Set up alerts, all different kinds. And you also, want to set up, make sure your keywords are right. So in your organization, we haven't talked about keywords, but keywords really are at the basis of everything in communications. And so what kind of keywords are you looking for? What kind of keywords do you want to be alerted to? For us, it's Rutgers, our school name, our degree names, our influencers, different research topics, and our program names. And you want those for yourself and your competitors. So you can see that setting up these dashboards with the right keywords and everything, it's not something you're going to do overnight. It takes a long time. And then you're going to, as your company organization changes, your keywords are going to change. So you want to, mark that on your calendar, like every 6 months. Are these the right keywords I'm still getting pinged on, or do I want to change them? Set up alerts for your key influencers. I have about 10 influencers at Rutgers. When they're talking, I want to know what they're saying. If they use our hashtag, even better. If they're, tagging us in a post, that's great, because I can use that later. Engage with people talking about your org on social media. That's the cultivate aspect. We want to cultivate. We learn from them, right? Even if that's negative, like the Kim Kardashian example, we're still learning, and we're changing and adapting and amending and trying to get our audience the whole way through to the desired outcome. What do we want them to do? We want them to engage with us, buy our product, enroll in our school, join the gym, a million different things, come to our events. Plan for responses, crisis and non-crisis. People don't think about this. You definitely got to do this. You got to set up some time with your head administrators, your boss, and say, what happens if a student passes? What happens if the CEO dies in a car wreck over the weekend? What happens if, and these are morbid, I'm sorry, but you need to really think about, like, crisis. What's a crisis for your organization? What are 5 things you're going to do when that crisis happens on social media? How are you going to get out the word? For us at Rutgers, it could be a student passing, a faculty member passing. It could be a snow day. So that's a crisis, because people are, there's students on campus, but there's also faculty staff coming in from all over to teach. So that's a crisis. We need to get out the information. How do you do it? How do you educate people? How do you make sure they don't come to campus when it's dangerous? So you need to prepare for that. Each organization is different and specific on responses. You have to learn what works for you and get on top of the management to buy into your plan and go forward. This is ongoing. This is something that you need to engage in. This is something you need to spend some time on, and probably some money, and set up your staff. And you need to be, you need to really just monitor and then make a good response. And I hope that this all makes sense for you, and I hope you've enjoyed my examples. Go out there and find some of your own examples, and if you need anything, you know how to reach me, and have a great day.